Yesterday's win for the Phoenix Suns saw Devin Booker have a career night. He was able to compile 15 assists, which is a career high, amassing 37 assist points, which is also a career high. And while he was on the floor with the Suns, he was accountable assist-wise for 60% of the field goals that they were able to generate. That is just it just really speaks and screams to a player that knows what they're doing in terms of table setting and creating advantages for others off of his scoring gravity, but also just generally with his ability to pass and playmaking, processing the defense and the different types of schemes and coverages and things like that are being thrown his way. Big time signs of his evolution as a primary ball handler, and even past the primary ball handler stage, he's now becoming and has been, honestly, a point guard and operating as that in multiple contexts. Even last season, in moments that he spent with CP3, when Chris was off the floor, Devin Booker was quickly in the point guard role, and we were seeing all of those reps in addition to reps that he had prior to Chris Paul coming to the Suns, just adding up in real time, just off of all of the reps and high leverage moments, regular season moments, clutch moments, all just adding up in real time. And just kind of as the cherry on top with all of that, this game was his first since early or midway through last season, where he had double digit or 8+ assists rather with one turnover or less, which is what he had yesterday. 15 I mentioned earlier, and just one turnover. And that one turnover didn't even come via a pass. It was an offensive foul where he was kind of using his offhand to gain leverage and getting downhill. So all of these things just really speaking to the many advantages Devin Booker is creating, his growth as a playmaker, and just his general growth in field IQ and processing. So let's go ahead and break down a few of his assist reps from yesterday's win over the Utah Jazz. First play, we're going to see them getting into some of their patented action. It's going to be Spain pick and roll. They get into this a little bit differently, and we're just going to kind of break down what was going on here initially and how it ultimately opens them up. So we see him navigating, ends up skipping it, over to Kevin Durant for a three. And as we rewind it back, as we see them flow out of horns, they get the elbow cross screen action. Again, customary and signature to them offensively for quite some time now. So we see that, and then we see Grayson Allen peeling in, and here's the Spain dynamic. So instead of him just setting the back screen and it being like a vertical three-player action, the way they get into this is it's almost like they're in like cascading fashion. The angles of the screen is almost like in double drag and 77 action. It's enabling Devin Booker to get downhill and turn the corner. And because of the angles of the screens and his pacing within it even more than anything, even with the bit of a switch that the Utah Jazz do throw in there, he's able to get a paint touch on this drive, engage the switch defender, as we can see George as the player that he's engaging on this Euro step. All of that is going to also be added by, like I mentioned, Devin Booker's pace, but also his patience. He could have easily, if he wanted to, just hit this little pocket pass right here to split the two defenders and hit Nurkic and get into this roll. Or he also could have hit a quick lob over the top through this pass around the opposite block area, allow for Nurkic to use his body to wall off marketing and then get up a finish at the basket potentially. But again, his patience in the processing. You can get the single here, or you can get the home run. The single here would have been this pass in the pocket or over the top of George to get this layup here for Nurkic. However, we see him go for the home run. He's patient, engages, waits for that low defender, low man being Lauri Markkanen, who's guarding Kevin Durant in the corner, to step in his tag and his rotation fulfillment. Gets into that. Soon as he sees that, it's a quick skip over the top to Kevin Durant. And again, because of the cleverness and with which the Suns are manipulating spacing and putting their chess pieces on the board in the half court, Devin Booker, through all of his patience and pace and all of the things that we just mentioned, is going to find Kevin Durant wide open. I mean wide open for a warm-up three to start the game on the very first possession, and Kevin Durant is going to knock this down. Also of note, Kevin Durant is shooting 87.5% from deep on passes from Devin Booker this season. He is 7 for 8 from deep in multiple contexts. Sometimes one pass away, Here, he's on the opposite corner of the floor. Just, again, manipulating the court balance and spacing for the Suns. That 87.5% mark is just torrid. And a lot of the shots are being generated quality-wise because of the attention that Devin Booker is either garnering or is patiently manipulating, like we see here. And KD knocks that down. Next right here, the Suns are going to get right back into the same play. They're just going to flip ends of the floor that they're running it from. Nonetheless, it's going to generate a similar result. And we're going to see him hit Nurkic here on a roll, and they're going to get a foul and a bucket +1. But as we kind of zoom back out and then let it flow through slowly, we see, again, in cascading fashion, we see the slope downhill angles for these screens. There's another switch here, as we can see. And just look at the timing of the pass. This is, again, going to the offhand even more so for Devin Booker, which is really just showcasing and highlighting his passing catalog and the abilities and ways that he could just get these passes to players going either direction with the strong hand or the offhand. Going to the offhand or offhand direction here, the timing of this pass, he's able to hit Nurkic on the opposite shoulder of where the defender is, just like a quarterback would, and trying to hit a player on, let's say, a post or a slant or a dig over the middle of the floor, middle of the field, rather. You want to hit him on the side where the defense isn't. Nurkic has soft hands and some dexterity that he puts on display here, but Devin Booker is able to nail the window at which he throws his pass in for Nurkic to get a catch, 2 feet in the paint, on the roll to the basket, and then Nurkic is able to finish with a smaller defender on him because of the switching that occurs in this 3-player action in their 77 slash Spain action here in the middle third of the floor. And that's a bucket +1. All right, and then here we're going to see, as a part of like a secondary break here, we're going to see him cancel or send this screen that Nurkic wanted to set away. And he's going to elect to use this space in the empty corner here, as you can see Nurkic respacing to the opposite dunker spot, just to manipulate the defense. This is early in the game, so he's just processing what type of help the Jazz are going to send. Are they going to send a double? How close is Lauri Markkanen going to get to him, being one pass away, especially with this being Kevin Durant? That's going to be the offensive player that's one pass away, top side, kind of spacing away from the nail help. All this is just getting receipts and gathering information early in the game. And Devin Booker is being patient and allowing himself to do just that. As he gets into these Barkley dribbles into the post, no need for a passer. He can do it himself. And he's patient, just seeing, okay, how far is Markkanen going to step towards me? And also, where is the next defender in terms of help? If they send a double, how is that help going to get there? He processes it all and just kind of, with the string, just kind of pulls Markkanen closer to him and closer to him. And once he gets this little gallop here, as you can see, to finally fully commit to adding some support in the gap, he throws his pass at the exact same time. So we get the true commitment there. Then we get the pass. And all of that creates a reaction advantage. And Kevin Durant, like I mentioned, shooting 87.5% on 3-point attempts that come from Devin Booker passes. We see Kevin Durant just gets an easy catch and shoot. And again, that's money for the easy money sniper. And then here, just great evolution in Devin Booker's playmaking and just how he generally approaches playing point guard. We're going to see him on a catch from the inbound with his head up, processing what's going on the other side of half court here. We can't see it because it's not in the picture yet, but as you can kind of see as I let it go a little bit more forward, Kevin Durant is going to be ahead of Eric Gordon on the other side of the floor, on the opposite sideline of where Devin Booker came from on the inbound pass. And because of that, and just looking at how slowly Lauri Markkanen is getting back defensively, we're going to see a little bit of mismatch here as we see Keontae George is now going to be the player initially that's closest to Kevin Durant, trying to cover up for that hit-ahead pass as Devin Booker uses his eyes, and he's looking to advance a pass up the floor. And this is just, again, the Suns, and specifically Devin Booker, looking for early things inside their offensive attack to attack early in the clock. We see a little bit of the Jazz getting back slowly off a made basket, and that's an advantage for the Suns if they can find it. Devin Booker has his eyes up. The light bulb is going off. He's like, okay, so we know Lauri Markkanen is guarding Kevin Durant. Keontae George is not. He's holding over for Markkanen to get back in the picture. So rather than allowing for them to get their defense set and get their matchup set to where they want to be, Devin Booker hits Eric Gordon with this early cross-court pass, And that's going to allow for and put stress on this rotation from Keontae George to get to his matchup. So as he rotates over to get to his matchup, we're going to see Eric Gordon on the catch because of the timing in the pass from Devin Booker, being able to essentially attack a closeout. 4 seconds into the shot clock, Eric Gordon gets this catch from the pass, and there's 20 seconds on the shot clock. Now he's able to attack, again, all before the defense is set, so that means there's no rim protector. And again, because of where Kevin Durant is spaced, one pass away, there's not going to be any help coming off of that strong corner. Eric Gordon has enabled a wide open lane to drive on his left side as we see Keontae George jump high side on his closeout. Eric Gordon gets a little bit of a crossover in, and then he's able to, again, skate through the lane, that driving lane there, with minimal help from Lauri Markkanen. This is like a half-effort swipe because, you can't really leave Kevin Durant one pass away. Eric Gordon probably doesn't even see or feel this little jab back here, and he's able to get into a nice early clock finish. That dynamic of the Suns' offense is something that's really going to help them chip away. They're already a team that can score 120 points, going against potentially a set defense every rep in terms of their half-court play. So if they're able to get quick hit-aheads and things like that to get advantages early in the clock, that's just going to make their offensive attack that much more layered and dynamic. And then here we're going to see the Suns in sideline out of bounds, like I spoke on last week. Getting into that same action is zoom from sideline out of bounds or Chicago action from sideline out of bounds. And we're just going to see Devin Booker getting into it. This time they're going to see some switching. And specifically, it's a late switch here on Drew Eubanks. That's going to enable Devin Booker a pocket within the mesh point of the switches to get this pass to Eubanks. He gets it to him quickly. Again, this is going to his left hand, so this is not an easy pass by any means. Nonetheless, he has the poise and pace within all of that to deliver it with his head up. And also, look at where Devin Booker's eyes are before he makes the pass. So he sees that, okay, boom, there's a switch. It's a late switch here right here between Sexton and Horton Tucker. Horton Tucker taking over for Sexton on the Booker. He sees it's a late switch, so he gives a quick peek to the weak side to see exactly what's going on. Nobody's occupying the paint, and because of that, looking at the angle that Eubanks is rolling on, Booker understands and knows that there is a window to get that in. And in terms of NBA basketball, that's a huge window to get this pass to the roller in. Devin Booker hits him, and then he's able to get into the launch pad and get up a nice jump off 2 feet, and then able to evade the eventual rim protection here coming from Lauri Markkanen, and Eubanks is able to finish. Again, just the processing and the understanding of coverages, pockets, and the eye manipulation from Devin Booker and assessing and scanning the whole entire floor keeps the Suns in consistent positions of just dictating and playing within their advantages. And then here we're going to see a little bit more of the same here from Devin Booker. Operating gets a switch, and then we're going to see him patient in his process. So as we see Keita-based Diop set this hunt screen to get the Waldo here, who is Lauri Markkanen, the player that the Suns want to find and put in action, Devin Booker gets it, and then KBD respaces to that strong corner, deep into the corner. So you can already see the driving lane to this right side of where the right elbow is that Devin Booker can get to whenever he wants to. But we're going to slow this down and look also where Drew Eubanks is. So initially he curls under the basket. He sees the driving lane and sees what Devin Booker is getting to in terms of the attack in the driving lane. Respaces back to the opposite dunker spot. Hat tip to him because that's very smart processing instead of being over eager to set a screen and ended up messing up the court balance and space that's been manipulated. So as we get back to it, we talked about Eubanks, we talked about KBD. Now let's talk about Josh Okogie, who's one pass away to the left. Oftentimes, if he's spaced above the break or even more so when he's in the corner, he's going to be helped off of. Teams are going to elect to send gap help to Kevin Durant, Eric Gordon, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, you name it. They'll elect to send help rather than staying close to home with him and worrying about him shooting threes. So during the game, Devin Booker processing and understanding all of this, he can also hear Will Hardy, the Jazz coach, screaming KO, 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 meaning for him to step up here off of Josh Okogie and provide some support for Lauri Markkanen. Devin Booker hears this and times up this drive. Doesn't go too soon. And we'll see why him not going too soon allows for him to hit another home run instead of getting a single or a double on this one. So we see, after mentioning Will Hardy screaming KO, KO for him to step up and Sims to support, Devin Booker at that same time elects to get into a between leg to the left and then hit the crossover. And then he's able to break leverage with Lauri Markkanen, get into that aforementioned driving lane, gets a deep drive into an advantageous catch-up point that's putting ultimate pressure on the rim. This is going to all be aided and exacerbated in the advantage by Josh Okogie, who is also going to put up a nice 45, a very high IQ burn cut. And that's going to take the sink man away, as we see with the Suns spacing, like we mentioned with Eubanks, rotating back over to the opposite dunker spot. They're going to go with corner field spacing. So they have a player that's taking up space in the dunker spot and also in that corner, the deep corner, being Yuta Watanabe. Get back to the Booker drive. Get back to the Josh Okogie burn cut. Moving that sink man, pulling him in. You get a drive and a cut, both getting paint touches. That's ultimate pressure on the rim and the paint. That sinks all four defenders of the Jazz. And now look at the Suns spacing as Devin Booker gets into the wraparound pass under the basket. Look at the spacing. Look at where Yuta Watanabe is. There's absolutely no one that's going to be closing out and recovering under this shot. All, again, by the Devin Booker processing and patience. But also, you got to give a big hat tip to Josh Okogie on this burn cut, because that's what ultimately allows for Devin Booker to burn the Jazz defense once again and get to Yuta Watanabe, and he's wide open at home, and he knocks down the three. And then here we see another advanced pass from Devin Booker. That doesn't get anything. It's just the fact that they're getting into it consistently as an early part of their offense, getting the ball across half court within 3 seconds of the inbound pass and just putting pressure on the defense right away. This is generating pace and flow. And now we're going to see Devin Booker, again, understanding matchups. We got into this second quarter stretch, and we saw the Jazz putting Taylor Horton-Tucker onto Drew Eubanks, so all of his screens were becoming switches. And they were putting Kelly Olynyk in positions where he could provide support and help off of players that they weren't as worried about with three-point shooting, kind of like we saw with Josh Okogie on the last rep. So we're going to see Kelly Olynyk. He's going to be guarding Keita Diop here. Devin Booker, again, like I mentioned on the rep with Eric Gordon, sees that they're not in their matchups, and this is aided by the pace at which that hit-ahead pass kind of creates some action and some compromise for the defense. He's able to get it back from Goodwin, scan the court really quickly, see that Keita Diop is coming into the picture, but also even before that, seeing that Kelly Olynyk is not quite matched up yet. He hits him with a quick pass, and now he's able to attack a full, like a wide open lane here. This is almost like a stampede dribble because of how Keita Diop is already moving into it. So he gets the catch. He's already getting downhill. And now he's got a wide open one-on-one opportunity at the restricted area. And he's able to get into a nice evasive and elusive Euro step. And then he's going to end up getting fouled by Taylor Horton-Tucker, and that's going to be a +1. And you can kind of see the Jazz under the basket talking about getting back between Taylor Horton-Tucker and Kelly Olynyk. Next rep here, we're going to see, after some action broke down, Devin Booker just posts up near the nail in the middle third of the floor, a la Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, a la Dirk Nowitzki in those championship years with the Dallas Mavericks. He gets a post-up touch in the middle third of the floor. You can't send a double team, and any help that's seen is going to be really stretched because it's in the middle third of the floor here with this catch. You see Taylor Horton-Tucker loaded up to this left side, but also look to the right side as we see this cut, smart 45 cut here from Nas Little to move that initial defender that's over Devin Booker's right shoulder. We're going to see Kelly Olynyk heavy loaded up at the block. So we see the elbows covered by Taylor Horton-Tucker, and then we see the block covered by Collins, and then we also see the other side where the pass ultimately goes to being covered up on the block by Olynyk. Devin Booker, again, patient in this process, and even in the late clock now, with 8 seconds left on the clock, he's just scanning the court, never fully looks at Drew Eubanks, who he knows is in the corner after the Nas Little 45 cut here to move the defense and shift it. Gets up a quick pass, and before Olynyk can really even react to it, he's able to get it over to Eubanks, and Eubanks has a lot slower of a shot release, so he's able to get up a mildly moderate, decent contest on this. Nonetheless, look at the confidence from Eubanks in taking this without any sort of hesitation and knocks down a three-pointer at an important juncture of the game, no less. As we can see, the Suns are down 1. He knocks down this 3 and puts them up 2. Late in the third, as they were in the midst of a run that will ultimately be extremely valuable in the course of the game to get his Suns a lead heading into the fourth quarter. And then here on this next rep, we're going to see a little bit more of Devin Booker's just processing of coverages, understanding what kind of coverages are being given to him by specific players from the opposition and how to counter them and put himself in a position of being advantageous, not just for himself, but for his teammates. So we see the screen here from Jordan Goodwin. It's got Kelly Olynyk back in the mix again. We've been seeing a lot of Lauri Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk being involved in action as the Waldos that the Suns are looking for in any given offensive possession. So he finds the Waldo here. It's Olynyk. Olynyk's in a show and recover as we see this screen here from Goodwin. So what is Devin Booker going to do to make this and flip this into an advantage, to counter punch whatever coverage he's seeing? He's going to attack the leverage of Kelly Olynyk, being that wide hip, and he's going to stretch this rotation so that the recover part of this show is going to be stretched. And because of this contact here that he gets, there's not going to be, this is going to completely cancel the recover part. And again, because of the Suns spacing, look at where Eubanks is on the opposite corner. That's a long rotation for Collins to even try to anticipate to make. If he steps up early, Devin Booker can just throw his pass over to Eubanks. Or if he steps up, Eubanks can even baseline cut and he'll be wide open on the back door. We see none of that, though. We're going to see Devin Booker, like I mentioned, attack the leverage, stretch the rotation, and then he's able to split as THT gets back into the mix, as he tries to get back in after navigating the screen. All of that is going to add up to Jordan Goodwin being wide open on the respace after the pop. After the screen he sets for Devin Booker, he's going to be wide open. And Devin Booker, yet again, with a great counter, burns the Jazz defense, burns the coverage and the rotations, and generates yet another three-point look for the Suns. And then here we're going to see a little bit more Devin Booker just showcasing his feel for the game. So as we see him get into another screen, we see John Collins stepping up. And then we're going to see Devin Booker, again, just reading the defense. And the timing at which he makes this pass, it's there sooner if he really wants to. But again, patience. Patience oftentimes opens up things, especially in the half court, even more. So just knowing when to tap buttons and when to make those plays, Devin Booker is just in full feel. And we see it all kind of play out here. As he gets the screen from Eubanks, we see Markkanen again stepping up. He's gapping off of Nas Little. That creates a little bit of a rotation as Devin Booker skips it. But look, if he throws this earlier, Eubanks isn't ready to roll. So if he throws that pass right here, just seeing how the defense is set up, there's not going to be much of an advantage for Nas Little to execute in. But because he throws it after he uses the screen, Eubanks gets into his role. And now look, as Eubanks gets into his role, he's not occupying that nail area, and that means his man is not occupying that nail area either. That's allowing for a gap in a driving lane to be created for Nas Little to attack. And again, here's the Waldo. The Waldo doesn't always have to be involved directly in action with the ball handler. You can just put them in positions to make decisions defensively. And that's exactly what he does here with Lauri Markkanen. Nas Little's able to turn the corner here. And because of the driving lane that's enabled by the passing and the patience of Devin Booker, as well as the roll from Eubanks, he's able to get into a nice left-hand finish here off the drive, and just some plus minutes given from Nas Little for the Suns in this game. And then lastly here, we're going to get into a fourth quarter rep. Devin Booker comes off a double drag, a little bit of 77, and then again, his processing, like we talked about in the Golden State Warriors game, comes off of the screens, and he's assessing the low man before anything else. He's not looking at his initial defender. He's not really looking at the drop defender. What's going to tell him what's going to be open here is where's the low man. And the low man here, Keontae George, does not have a foot in the paint. If there's no foot in the paint, that means that there's going to be an opportunity to hit the roll man as he gets into the roll underneath the free throw line. Devin Booker goes with a jump pass here. We co-sign jump passes, especially if they're used in an appropriate manner. Sells the jump shot here. That's going to get a reaction out of both defenders, and it's almost like this is pausing the defense. And that's going to enable him access to hitting Drew Eubanks on his roll, while also, again, keeping his eyes on a low man to see where is he. Is he peeled in early? Is he in at all, or is he just not in? He's not in yet. That means that he's green to make this pass here to the roller, and Eubanks is able to finish with a KG pump fake up against a smaller defender in the paint. And this is just the little things that Devin Booker is nailing on a consistent, sustained basis. All of these things just really saying and just showing that he is truly a point guard, not just a primary ball handler and not a combo guard. He's really taking on point guard duties, and he's executing within that, wearing that hat at an absolutely elite level. And the Suns are just reaping the benefits of just that.